Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Any question?
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, can you please explain again why we do not use transplantation in case of short span rice?
Yes, please. In case of short duration variety, suppose this is 120 days. If you go for, this is the seed, you are going for seeding, and after 25 days, we are uprooting the seeds from the nursery bed, then you are planting in the main field. So once you plant in main field, this is like a transplanting. The crop try to establish in the main field, then go for the tillering stage. After that, this is the, after 15 days, this is the active tiller stage. Then this is the 40 days means active tiller starts. Then panicle initiation, 60 days panicle initiation. After 30 days, we have the flowering. From flowering, after 30 days, the crop matures. So from panicle initiation to maturity, the crop takes almost 60 days. So this is the start of the reproductive phase, and this is the end of the crop maturity. So this 60 days is constant irrespective of the varietal duration. The variety may be 150 days or 100 days or 110 days or 140 days. Irrespective of the varietal duration, these phases, the duration of these phases remains almost constant. So in that case, suppose you take a variety of 150 days. So these 60 days remain constant. Then from seed to panicle initiation, it takes 90 days. That means the variety remains more and more on vegetative phase. So that's a good, no? The variety remains longer in vegetative stage, so that accumulates more and more biomass, and this biomass is later going to, transfer towards the economic short duration variety. Suppose variety of 100 days. In that case, from panicle initiation to maturity, it remains almost takes 60 days. Then 40 days has to use for the vegetative. From seed to panicle initiation, it takes only 40 days. So the variety has only 40 days from seed to panicle initiation. Suppose you go for transplanting for this variety, then what will happen? So for transplanting, you spend 25 days for the nursery bed. So after 25 days, so at this only take 15 days to come to panicle initiation. So 15 days he has to go for tiller. The plant has to for tiller formation. After tiller formation, then only panicle initiation takes place. So here, if you go for planting, only 15 days is available for tillering and panicle initiation, which is very quite difficult. So what happens? The tillering and panicle initiation, they go on parallelly. So for that, so there will be less tiller formation. Tiller formation is reduced. At the same time, there is poor panicle formation. Both are affected. That means the crop does not get sufficient vegetative durations to produce a good yield. However, instead of going for transplanting, if you go for direct seeding, then 60 days of course goes for the panicle initiation to maturity, then 40 days remains from seed to panicle initiation. So the crop remains in the main field. There we provide the proper spacing, row spacing and seed spacing. As we do in the main field for transplanting, the crop remains in the main field. So it gets 40 days duration here. During that, it comes tillering, also like 10-15 days come tillering, and also get the time for panicle, maximum tiller and panicle formations. So that it gets a good time or the sufficient duration for accumulation of vegetative biomass, then it can transfer towards the reproductive part, so that you can get a good yield. But the short duration variety, if you go for the transplanting, because of the lack of duration for its establishment and vegetative formation, that does not give the yield formation or the better yield formation. So we should not go for transplanting of short duration variety, but we can go for direct seeding in the main field of this short duration variety.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir, I have one more question, that you told the panicle initiation and maturity time remains constant, about
Right.
around 60 days. But sir, I have read that in India there are few rice crops which can mature in which have a lifespan of 60 days only. So for that also, does the whole process remains for 60 days or does it become shorter?
No, that's you are correct also. There are very few variety. Okay, the lifespan is only for 60 days. That in that case we also go for the whole duration 60 days. In that case, this gets somehow shorter. This may become 40 days. Somehow shorter. So 20 days for only the vegetative stage. So as per the variety, because those variety very low yielding, they don't give high yield. Only those are the location specific variety where there is a drought condition or irregularity in rainfall to catch the soil moisture very quickly and get the yield. To avoid any drought conditions, 60 days, 2 months variety are used, but they are very low yielding and they go only were used for the direct seeding. So that's starting from seed to seed. In that case, for those variety only, usually hardly people do use for 60 days variety because yield is very low. You get less than 2 tons per hectare yield. And this duration somehow shorter, not exactly you get 60 days. It may be around 50 days or 40, 45 days, and you get some vegetative around 20, 30 days for the vegetative phase for those varieties.
Okay, sir.
Yes, any more question from anybody?
Sir, how biomass affects the yield?
Because no, the biomass as for the vegetative phase, as the crop accumulates the biomass, when there is a panicle emergence or the takes place, then after that most of the carbohydrate they are stored in the leaf, they get translocated into the grain portion. This is the crop physiology. So the biomass, whatever you can see towards maturity, the leaf becomes yellow, brownish color. So towards vegetative it remains green, and because the translocation of the carbohydrates from the leaf portion that moves to the grain portion. So grain filling starts. It's a grain from flowering to maturity, grain filling. The carbohydrate present in the leaf, mostly flag leaf is also very important. Most of the carbohydrate from the nutrient component from the flag leaf get translocated to the grain. So that's why biomass is very important. Once you have the good biomass, it will give a better yield. The translocation of carbohydrate from the leaf portion, from the vegetative toward the reproductive, we say that source sink transfer. Transfer from source to sink. So that is a source and sink transfer. This is the source. So this vegetative part, this is the source. And that is one, this is the sink portion. This is the sink. Transfer from source to sink. Grain number per panicle. That means grain number per meter square area, and single grain weight in gram by 1000. That becomes the grain weight in kg per meter square. Multiply by 10,000. That becomes kg per hectare. So if anybody has any doubt on this, please ask. I'll clarify. So is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Sahil Rajendra.
Yes.
Sahil Rajendra.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. Anybody? Ritvik. 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 Gogloth Ritvik. Gogloth Ritvik. Can you hear me? Gogloth Ritvik. I think he's not here probably. Gogloth Ritvik. Then Jai Shivana MJ. Jai Shivana MJ.
Yes, sir.
So is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Jai Chandra Ramesh.
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Okay, good. Arvind Kumar.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, Buri Rahul.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's fine. Okay. So, yes, if anybody has any doubt, so please clarify. So, to calculate the grain yield kg per hectare in a field, we do go for sampling, and in a particular area, in a meter square area, we calculate the panicles. We expected that the crops are uniformly distributed around the field. To have a prediction of yield prediction before you go for harvest in the field, we go for as a crop cutting experiment, you can say, as a sampling experiment, where you calculate in a meter square area, calculate number of panicles per meter square, and also we get the grain number per panicle. This is a grain number per panicle, and this whole tiller, this is known as panicle, and this gives the grain number per panicle, and you get the weight of single grains. Then you get, by dividing 1000, you get the grain weight in kg per meter square, and multiply by 10,000, that gives the grain weight kg per hectare. And if that is the case, because your crop yield or the yield of rice depends upon panicle number per meter square, grain number per panicle, and single grain weight. And if you can change these three parameters, then your yield can be improved. So you have target how to increase number of panicles per meter square, and how to increase number of grains per panicle, and how to increase single grain weight. That means that each grain should be a boulder and also have the good weight. How to do that one? If you think of this parameter, single grain weight, grain number, and panicle number, these three parameters have to be improved to have a higher yield formation. For increasing single grain weight, it's a difficult task. We cannot probably increase the single grain weight, because the single grain weight is a genetic characteristic of the variety. As I told earlier, discussed as a components of crop production system. So one of the component, the seed and genotype, and that is the grain weight is decided by the breeder, those who have developed. And because in case of optimum conditions, as you provide, you will get the maximum single grain weight. This has nothing to do with your input management until there are severe stress. In normal condition, the single grain weight will not be affected. If there are very severe stress, that means the environmental stress, high temperature or very low temperature, or the CO2 concentration not proper, light is not proper, then there may be some change in the single grain weight, or there is water stress, severe water stress, or no nutrient available. But normal conditions, you will get the single grain weight maximum value. So that we are not targeting our management conditions. We are not targeting to change the single grain weight because this is decided by the genetic nature of the seed. Our management condition, we will try to target improving this component as panicles number and this component as grain number. How we can increase the panicle number and grain number? Panicle number, how you can improve? If you see this as a growth stages, if you see growth stages, these are the panicle, and the panicle comes from the tillers. If there are more number of tillers, you will get more number of panicles, and the tiller formation can be increased if you apply your fertilizer at the right stage. That means at this stage. To have higher number of panicles per meter square, your fertilizer management and water management essential at this tillering stage. So if you apply proper amount of nutrient at this stage, then you will have more and more tiller formation. That is what we can do through management. By having the good management, by providing optimum inputs at this stage, we can have the maximized tiller productions. Then second thing comes, so that you can do your nutrient management. So that indicates that to have a more tiller formations, you should have a proper nutrient input management at tillering stage. Input or tillering. So that you can take care of the input management at tillering stage to have more. Then how can have the more number of grain formation? For more number of grain formation, to have a better grain, so when there is a panicle initiation, as we are discussing, this panicle initiation takes place at this stage, so there should not be any stress of water and nutrient. There should be sufficient available of water and nutrient because this formation takes place here, and the number of grains is decided at this place. At this stage, when there is panicle initiation, the number of the grain formation that is decided with the input management at this stage. So if you go for proper input management at this stage, somewhere here, then you have the maximum number of grains for panicle. So that here they decide for grain number, to have the maximum grain number, you have the input at at panicle initiation stage. At PI. That is what panicle initiation stage. So you have the proper input management at this stage. So if you take care of the tillering and around panicle initiation, the input management, the proper water and nutrients should be there. In that case, you can have the maximization of the panicle number, and also you have the maximization of the grain number. Once you are done these components, and after that you take care of the water management. The crop should not suffer from water stress. So especially input means the nutrient. Nutrients should be proper at this stage and this stage for more number of panicles, more number of grain formations. If this is done, then you can take water management. After that proper water management, you will have the maximized production. You can have the maximum production, maximum biomass can be attained with these management practices. Okay, any doubt here?
Sir, can you explain at what particular stage are farmers lacking behind in not creating the maximum use of this process?
Yes, what farmers they do, see the conventional way, they don't apply exactly the fertilizer at right stage. Suppose you are going for, if you don't apply fertilizer at this stage, if you delay even 7 days, it is going to affect the tiller formation. So the timing of application is very, very important, and also the quantity of application. Not only time, both time and quantity. If you are applying the at right stage and the right amount, sometimes you are applying the excess fertilizer, that is not good for the crop. Also, it may give excess, sometimes give you excessive tillers, that's not good. So what I say, you have to see, as you see, you have to take care of the soil fertility, what is the nutrient availability in soil, and how much fertilizer has to be applied. That has to be calculated based on the balance sheet, input output, how much demand and how much has to be available in the field and how much has to be supplied, which the farmers they don't do. So in that case, they lose here. And also timing. The farmer don't apply exactly at time. Okay, you can delay for 2 days, 3 days, it's fine, but not 1 week. If you delay for 1 week, then that stage is over. If you apply after that, then it's not good. You are applying, okay, it will give some positive return, but not exactly if you are missing that stage. So that is what the farmers facing problem, no? Okay, they apply fertilizer, they don't feel that either today or even 7 days after. They realize it will give the same value. And sometimes inputs, suppose they are looking for fertilizer is not available in the market. They have looked for fertilizer. So that is what we don't do the operations, we don't apply the fertilizers or the nutrients in right amount at right time when the crop needs. That's why the farmers are wasting huge amount of fertilizers, which may not be useful for the crop if are making some delay.
Yes, sir. So this point is clear. But sir, I had another doubt which comes in mind every time. Like, what about the conventional farmers? Like, don't they like for nowadays, don't the farmers know farming, like the exact timing? Or if I consider the conventional farming, they just use the natural क्या कहते हैं, fertilizers rather than artificial fertilizers, so they don't face this problem, or they actually know the true farming. I mean, what's the difference and why is it happening so?
Yes. So first of all, the problem is that the farmers, they don't analyze their own soil. They don't know what is their soil status. That is one drawback. And they used to apply fertilizer as per the conventional what they used to apply previously, previous 2 years, 3 years. Same process, same amount. They don't change the amount. They don't check the soil properties, whether the soil is sick because of continuous application of fertilizer. Soil maybe the pH might have gone down, might be acidic. They don't take care of the soil, and they don't go for any, there is no availability of soil testing laboratory nearby so that the farmers can take samples. Even though they put samples, they don't have no idea from where to collect sample and how to collect soil sample for proper testing. So that is one thing lacking. They apply fertilizer without knowing the soil fertility, without having idea soil fertility. That is one. And when they apply fertilizer, they don't take care of the crop demand. They only apply as per what they are doing previous last so many years. That remains fixed. The dose remains fixed, and that is very as a rough way you can say, for one area, approximate area, this much amount fertilizer they will be applying. And the timing also, timing not exactly at this, they know because they do visualize, okay, the crop is showing some symptoms, or now at this, they might have passed, they might have crossed 7 days. It depends upon somebody is applying, I will apply. They don't apply exactly at the time of need, when there is this is the need of fertilizers. There's a delay actually. They know it's required, but they okay, today नहीं तो कल, आज नहीं तो कल apply करेंगे, परसों apply करेंगे. But in this process, they delay that may be delay of 1 week. But they don't understand if there's a delay in 1 week, we are losing that one. That type of awareness is not there among the farmers. Okay, fertilizer have to be applied in a window of maybe 7 days. They think window of 7 days to 10 days. Within this period, we should apply fertilizer. No. The window is very narrow. They take a window of 2 weeks. Okay, within 2 weeks, we'll apply. Either today or after within 2 weeks. They don't understand the window is very narrow window. Within that period, we must apply to have a maximum return. So that is what we cannot say that, because awareness also, they don't understand. Only looking at the field, they can realize whether it is to be applied, how much to be, when to be applied. But exactly amount is not known to them, how much has to be applied. So that is the problem with the existing farmers. But now you see there is a technology out there that may be not very precise. There's a leaf color chart is there. So some farmers they are using also. Once you see the leaf color, then you can diagnose there is a shortage of deficiency of nutrients. Accordingly, you may able to take care of the crop, but it's very difficult to calculate the quantity. They have no idea how much quantity of fertilizer has to be applied. So that is the problem with the conventional farmers they are facing. Only that can be possible with the sensing technology. You can sense, there is sensing technology, they can sense the leaf nutrient status, and that can be established at what stage, what should be the leaf reflectance that will link to the crop growth and leaf. At this stage, this should the reflectance NDVI value, as NDVI value should be there, and if NDVI value is less at this stage, there is stress, so that needs application of nutrient. So those precision agriculture technology, as you say, that is not applied in the farmer's field. So that's why there is a huge loss of inputs, and gain is very less, marginal gain only there. Yeah, could you get me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I can't understand that. If I consider India 500 years back, I am pretty sure that Indians were the strongest ones. I just because they had that nutritious food without any mixture of any chemicals or other things, like the king's time or any other previous time 500 years back. And that the reason was, I guess, because their farming method was absolutely correct. Other
Yes, so there's a long debate on that one. No, you are right. At that time, there is no use of chemical fertilizer, no use of chemical pesticides because it are not available at all. Farmers are not knowing about that. No, there are some fertilizers are there and pesticides are there. They are doing the thousands of years back. You can say they are doing as of now as a natural way. You can see they are growing crops and they are using the cattle are there. They are using only the compost. They are making the compost and the compost was used for making the production. But think that no, it, the variety they are using that time, they are very low yielding variety. And with that variety, that no, without the application of fertilizer, it was good because variety was not high because high yielding, you cannot expect the high yield. Even to apply high amount of fertilizer, you cannot give high amount of yield. So for that variety, that practice was the good practice. That is what you say. That was sustainable at that time. You say, as you say, a question changes, a question does not change, answer changes. For that variety, sustainable. But when there is a need for increasing production, people are getting starvation, hungry, people are not getting food during the early 60s when there is a famine and food shortage, people are dying out of food. There is no food available. People used to remain hunger. Because if you see early 1960s, people used to remain hunger, and some people they were used to have only one time food, only day, and also in a family they decide who will take food today, who will take food tomorrow. That type of situation was there. So in that case, there is a need for increasing food production, and that traditional variety was not able to meet the requirement. So there is the introduction of a high yielding varieties that came. When high yielding variety came, and high yielding variety cannot give same return, the good return, unless until you apply the proper nutrient. Because of to get the maximize the production from the high yielding variety, there is the introduction of the chemical fertilizer. So there is increased production. Then now we are facing the situation because of the green revolutions. Because there is a recommendation you apply chemical fertilizer at the same time you also apply organic manure together. But farmers did forget to apply organic manure by introduction of this chemical fertilizer. They went on applying year after year huge loading of the chemical fertilizer without taking care of soil health. Now what soil says give you give me also take me, give and take method. The soil is giving you rice grain, you must return something. Return means the so crop residue that has to be plowed back into the soil. Only you take out the grain, but residue has to be returned so that soil fertility can be gained. And the compost, organic manure, that has to be applied regularly. But farmers did forget that one. They applied only use the chemical fertilizers to have a maximized production. Now we are reaching such stage that so even though additional amount of chemical fertilizer, we are not able to maximize production even for the high yielding variety. Soil has become very sick. So we cannot go back to the same era thousands years before only organic because we cannot maintain the productions. So now sustainability meaning is different. You have to maintain the production at the same time you have to minimize the use of chemical fertilizers. That's what we are going compromise positions, not fully organic for nutrient management. We have to go for the 50-50 as a chemical fertilizer and the organic combination so that we have to maintain the yield at the same time improve the soil fertility. That's what we are going for the sustainability and this. So that was the need for that period. We had to go for that one, otherwise there is no option actually.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, can we say like that? For example, you told at that time it was the need for that era, and can we say like that after India was colonized, for example, the agricultural system of India was completely changed for the purpose of growing certain commercial crops like cotton, indigo, etc. So can we say like that our traditional practices, most of them might were lost in that process, and now the farmers are not that much educated, that means they don't even know when to add the fertilizers and when not to, but earlier they used to know. Can we say like that?
I agree also somehow with this one, because no, the farmers now you see the farmers, they don't know how to make organic manure. Okay, they have no idea how to make compost, because market fertilizer available. They go, and most of the farmers you won't find the, because for organic farming also, for making organic manure you need the cattle. Now bullocks are not there, definitely we are using the tractor. That's good, tractor, power tiller for the plow, for the tillage operations. There are no bullocks, but at least cows should be there to have a milk, and to have, as a compost, to have a the cow dung for the manure. So that is because farmers now more, if you go to village, many farmers, they don't have cow. If they don't have cow, so how will get the organic manure? They don't know how to make organic manure. Only they depend upon the chemical fertilizer. They purchase the chemical fertilizer from the market, and they used to apply this chemical fertilizer, as they have no option for the organic farming. So you are right that no, people, they don't know, they have to be educated to make organic, and to make them education organic, they should have facility. Now for the concept of organic farming, every farmer should have one cow, and that is better to have a desi cow than having the hybrid or the hybrid cows. Desi cow is much better because you can get a milk, good milk. That's for the, as a for the family. At the same time, the cow dung can be utilized for making organic manure. Once you have cow, you will get the manure. You will get the manure is there. Then you go on adding in the feed. So definitely farmers have to be educated, and farmers, because of the awareness program, they know, now they know, okay, we need to go for this one, but no, they should have, cow should be there in every farmer, or as a if one farmer cannot have, is a poor farmer, small farmer, marginal farmer, then they should go for a cooperative. For a particular land, this much of farmer, they should have at least this much of cows, to have a organic systems, to have a organic manure. And you apply fertilizer. You don't say don't apply fertilizer, because you have to maintain the production. At the same time, there should be sufficient addition of the organic fertilizer or the compost to the field, so that the field fertility is maintained for the future period. Sustainability should be maintained. So as you say, I agree with this one. The farmers have to be educated in the organic way of making the organic manure. At the same time, they need a proper, because demonstration, field demonstration, you go to farmers field and work on there. Because what I see, I say, in developed countries, the farmer used to approach the scientist. He has some problem, and the scientist sees this problem, and to settle the problem or solve the problem, the scientist comes and works in farmer's field for that problem. That happens because we have visited the France, Montpellier. There we went to farmer's field. The farmer's field is just like one institution, you can say, exactly more than our department. He has everything. He has so many power tillers, so many tractors. He has all the components like livestock, poultry, paddy. He also growing paddy in France. So what he told us, he is carrying a publication, research publication, a journal, and he told that he had such problem, and he approached the scientist in this university. The scientist came, worked in his field, and tried to solve his problem, and the result has been published in this journal. The farmer is carrying that journal. Can you see this one? Type of educations and the awareness among the farmers. This is not a farmer, you can say, it's a farm manager. And that type of things, and the scientist could come and work in his field, because the field has the same facility, farmer's field has the similar facility as he gets in the experimental station. There is no problem. What facility he is getting in experimental station, same facility farmer has. So he can come and comfortably work in farmer's field. So that is a win-win situation between the farmer and scientist. That's what the country, that's what we should move forward. The scientists come back and work, instead of working in the research station in confined area. If he takes the problem and works in farmer's field, that will be more appealing to the farmers than having in the experimental station. But in that way, there should be facility, because farmers field should have such facility to support the investigations. They should have irrigation, he should have everything. It should be protected well from cattle grazing. Otherwise, you go to the farmer's field, work there, and tomorrow there is a cattle grazing also. and the farmer does not take care. That does not solve the problem.
Excuse me,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, please. Yes.
Sir, you told that we have some sensing technologies to
Yeah.
know when the when the fertilizer should be added to the crop. So, are these sensing technologies available to the farmers? Like, do they know it, or what is lacking?
No, this is not available to the farmers. This is in the experimental station only. And for sensing technology, that equipment is also expensive. The farmer cannot buy. It takes around 1 lakh rupees. That equipment you have to buy. Or still higher equipments are around 5 lakh rupees, which farmers cannot afford. They cannot go for this one. Only thing now, this the scientists can take help, and farmers are not that much rich enough that can buy such equipment. That only the developed farmers, as a farm manager, he can keep, he can see that one. But our normal farmers, they don't have this. This is only in the experimental station.
Sir, this problem can be solved only when a person who basically starts a company for these devices or sensors
Exactly. Yeah.
and collaborated with
And
government.
That is
Otherwise, I
what.
don't
That is
think the
what.
number
That's
of farmers
yes,
can't be
in low
controlled.
cost. Yes.
right. That's true. That's what I tell you, because no, if somebody thinks of that one, this is a problem, pertinent problem farmers, and come out with some idea technology. As you say that I have shown that one in the presentation, like ATM machine, no, soil analyzer machine. That should be there in the farm, in the village itself. The farmer can bring his soil samples with the proper process, insert the soil sample in the machine, and he will get the information how much fertilizer need to be applied over the soil quality, like nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, carbon, and how much fertilizer has to be applied for that crop, and what type of crop he has to grow. So that type of technology is revolution is required actually. If this comes in the even at the panchayat level, and the farmer cannot go to a block level and to go for soil analysis. Moreover, the soil analysis system is not available properly in India. So if this can be done at block level, this is a very good approach. It's if government supports and have a startup with the support of the government initiatives, this can be established, and that's also now people are using mobile app. No, once there is a advisory goes to farmers through mobile app, you apply fertilizer at this time. We are also doing that one through India Meteorological Department. We are sending advisory in 2 days in a week, every Tuesday and Friday to farmers mobile. But things are now only few farmers, those are advanced, they are using, and they are also inquiring. But other farmers, they are as such. We need to bring more and more farmers on the platform. They are using, they are seeing the message, and they are forgetting. They are very casual, careless. Okay, so today they have forecasted it will rain, so it may not rain also. Sometimes it rains. It may happen some cases, but not always. So trust building and the following this practice, that is very important. Farmers should take on confidence. We must do, and we must follow whatever the advisory given. So the farmers are getting the mobile advisory to the mobile app, but very few farmers they are following, and they are very particular about the extreme events. If there is a cyclone, then they do take care to protect the crop. But the normal weather forecasting in between, okay, tomorrow there is the rain, so don't go for apply fertilizer, don't apply pesticides, it will go into waste. So very few farmers do follow this one. Yeah.
Sir, I have a question regarding the yield formula of the yield.
Okay.
Sir, when we actually measure the yield per hectare, do we follow the same procedure? Like we count the number of panicles and then do the following calculation? Because sir, in every other paddy plant, the number of grains in a particular pinnacle may be different, and that may give very uncertain results in that case.
Yeah. So in that case, what happens now? This is a sample, not that one sample. You can go for the multiple samples, random sampling. From 1 meter square area, we go for random sampling. This is only for the crop cutting. So this is only when the farmers do harvest, they record the yield after the final harvest. They cut all the crops, then get the yield. But before cutting the crops, before harvesting, to get a information as a first-hand information, how much yield is expected. So we go for crop cutting experiment. In addition to that, we have also simulation exercise, modeling exercise. So in the field itself, we go for the yield forecasting before the crop is harvested through remote sensing by having the reflectance signature from the field and using the crop modeling simulation, because this yield forecasting is required, that gives a proper information to the policymakers and the government people how much yield is production will be expected in this season. So suppose there is a shortage of yield or there is excess of yield, so that gives a government people as a preparative measure, adaptive measure. If there is excess production, then you have to look for the proper storage, and if there is a shortage of production is expected, then we have to be very careful, or we have to think of procuring food grains to meet the shortage. So that type of information given before harvest, and this is only I think as a sample without going for the entire harvest. If you go for random sampling pickup from different spots, then that will give you information about the crop cutting experiment is a ground truth. Then in addition to that, we have also with the independent parallel yield forecasting using crop modeling and the sensing technology. By having if you have the sensor or measure the NDVI at the flowering stage, from that NDVI calculation, we can predict how much yield is expected.